We discovered how to color unglazed ceramics and plaster with soft pastels, and we even used eyeshadow and colored pencils. It was like a 3D coloring book experience. And you don't have to be an artist to make cool decorations for your home. We'll show you how with love for a country house. Our first attempt at making chalkware bunnies from plaster of Paris came out far better than we imagined, so we'll put a link to that tutorial on this video. But to color this plaster, we looked at BeatrixPotter illustrations for inspiration, and to get that kind of effect with paint would be very time consuming, not to mention really difficult. So we gave soft pastels a try, and they worked. We did this fast and easily. There's Peter Rabbit, Benjamin Bunny, well, our interpretation of these rabbit families, and we think you'll be surprised at how easy this can be. Basically, you rub the pastel on the plaster and then you rub it in with a swab, and you may need to do a few layers to get these strong colors, but we use multiple shades of blue in the blue areas, and we use browns, golds, oranges, things like that in the brown areas, because these multiple shades really enhance that watercolor effect. But you could also use just one shade as you were learning, and think of these as a three-dimensional coloring book. So the crumbs will fall down as you work, but you want to blow them away. And then you can also sand off colors if you make a mistake, or if you want to get this antique effect like this. Pencils and pens will work for this craft too, especially on tiny areas. For instance, we used a Sharpie pen to draw the eyes on this bunny, and we rounded it out with a pencil. So it's definitely imperfect, but it's so great for that vintage vibe. Now, this bunny was colored using mostly eyeshadow. This eyeshadow and our soft pastels are very chalky, and you can scratch or sand them off to create white details. That's also how we created the white dot in this bunny's eye. We just scratched it in. So before long, we realized that the same tools would work on Bisque ceramics from thrift shops or paint your own pottery shops, or really anything that has a matte surface. Now you'll see how we used a bunch of these techniques on this ceramic candle holder. We used regular swabs and some pointed swabs, and even some of those really tiny swabs designed for tattooing. Colored pencils work great for getting into tight areas, so we use both fancy watercolor pencils and even inexpensive neon pencils. All of them are a lot of fun to try. Eyeshadow is great when you need lots of options for natural colors like this terracotta effect. So if you like to blend colors, give this technique a try, and we think you'll find it's a lot easier than using paints. So here's an unglazed stoneware tile that we tried, and this was a lot more resistant to the chalk colors. So after the first coloring, we sprayed the tile with Grumbacher spray, and we let this dry overnight, and then you can do another layer of color. In fact, we sprayed and colored 3 times, but just look at the rich results. And this will not come off on your hands. So you can get this spray at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or other art supply stores. Here's our most ambitious project using this technique. Here we added some air-dry clay, but you could also use something like iron orchid or other appliques as long as they'll fit your curves, like on this plate. So we shaped these clay appliques right on the plate so they match the curve, and then we let this dry. Then we primed the under surfaces with paint, and then later we glued these appliques into place, and we didn't get any glue or paint on the parts we wanted to color with the chalk or the pastels. Then we coated the appliques with watered down spackling to make sure the chalky colors would really grab. Then we colored 2 layers with the Grumbacher spray in between, and here's how it turned out. So these are decorative pieces, not used for serving food, because we don't know of a sealer that is considered food safe, but if you happen to know one, let us know in the comments. Don't miss the next episode of Love for a Country House. Click on the sun logo to subscribe. See you later.